Hello guys, and welcome to a monolithic tanking guide. This is going to be a key binding video for Death Knight tanking. Outbreak on Tilda. Outbreak is on Tilda because it is out of the way, but easy to hit when necessary, especially on pull. Icy Touch on 1 and Plague Strike on 2 because they are going to be needed to be used right away when you need to use them. Heart Strike is on 3. Same reason, and because you're going to use this ability a lot, you don't want to put a modifier key on it. Death Strike is 4 because it's your main healing ability and one of your top 2 damaging abilities. You're going to use this ability all the time as a blood DK. Make sure it's right where you need to, and 4 is a good place for it. 5 is Rune Strike. This is your runic power dump and your main damaging ability. You need to be able to spam this button when necessary, but not hit it on accident. Whenever not, because it's a waste of a global if you're not about RP cap. Shift tilde, Soul Reaper. Soul Reaper needs to be on shift tilde because it needs to be an ability you can hit when necessary, but out of the way of being accidentally hit, and you're not likely to hit shift tilde on accident, because using this ability before the execute phase is a waste of a rune. Dark Command is on shift 1 because you need to be able to hit it very quickly whenever you are to hit it, but not on accident because you don't want to waste your taunts. Death Grip is on shift 2. There are many different places you can put this. I put it on 2 because I like to have my taunts together and I like it to be very easy to hit, but not hit on accident. I placed Horn of Winter on shift 3 because you will use it very frequently for a runic power boost, and that's a good place for it. I don't currently have anything bound to shift 4 because I put Empower Rune Weapon on shift 5. This is a 5-minute cooldown. I don't want to accidentally hit it, so I don't bind anything to shift 4 or shift 6. Just so that the only thing I can hit there is Empowered Rune Weapon. Don't fat finger it. F1 is Blood Boil because it's spammable but out of the way. Easy to hit whenever it procs, but as I say, out of the way. F2 is Death and Decay because it's out of the way, easy to hit whenever it procs, and you can place it before the fight. R, Death's Advance. You can place multitude of abilities on R. I personally use Death's Advance very frequently, and I wanted to place it not so far out of my hand's reach that I had to stretch for it or use a modifier key, so R. Both Mind Freeze and Strangulate are bound to F with a shift modifier macro because I want my interrupts to also be easy to reach very quickly and not stretched for. Shift Scroll Wheel Down is my Icebound Fortitude keybind. Same reason. It's an easily hit, very quickly keybind, but it's one you're very unlikely to push on accident. Middle mouse button is Every Man for Himself, my human racial, to break me out of crowd control. You can bind whatever racial you have here, and it's always a good place for it. Or a PvP trinket if you use one of them, even though you shouldn't. Shift Scroll Wheel Up I reserve for all 3 tier 90 talents. Gorfine's Grasp, Remorseless Winter, and Desecrated Ground, whichever one I happen to be using at the time. Currently it's Remorseless Winter, but it's an easy button to hit whenever you need it, but a hard one to hit whenever you don't. So I have Death Coil bound to a mouse button for the same reason. Easy to hit when you need it, hard to hit when you don't. As I have Raise Dead, but I have Raise Dead bound twice, and I'll get to that in a minute. Anti-Magic Shell is bound to Shift Q. I bind pretty much exclusively to my tanking cooldowns on shift modifier keys. Shift Q is Anti-Magic Shell because it's easy to hit whenever you need to. It's always where your fingers are, or should be. So, Bone Shield is Shift W, same reason. Easy to hit when you need to, always where your fingers are. Dancing Rune Weapon is Shift E, same thing. Shift A is Vampiric Blood, and Shift S is Rune Tap. This way it's very easy for me to just go Shift A, Shift S as a combo, rather than macroing it, because they have separate cooldowns. This way I can just roll my fingers, and I never have to worry about it. Shift D is a raise dead sac pet macro. However, occasionally this macro does bug out and it'll just stay stuck on sacrifice pet. So I bind raise dead to a mouse button just in case. Control mouse button is bound for a PvE trinket. Currently I'm using a tanking trinket of Fallen Protectors. And control mouse button is also bound for Army of the Dead, so I don't ever hit that on accident. I keep Chains of Ice keybound for tanking because there are a lot of trash mobs. It might have to kite. So I bind it to Shift Z. Very hard to hit on accident. And it's a little awkward to hit during gameplay, but I keep it there because I keep it there. I do not bind Path of Frost or Dark Simulacrum. I also do not bind Healthstones or Potions of Mogu Power, which are what I use, simply because those are abilities and potions I use so infrequently that I would rather them just not be using up keyboard space.